This is the ultimate survival food of our forefathers. It saved America during the Great Depression, thanks to its high calorie count. It provided useful energy for when the going got tough. Your mom or grandma certainly had a can of this that never left the kitchen counter. That's because this is one of the lost ways to preserve foods for many years, without refrigeration. Ultimately, it kept our forefathers alive, especially during the 1930s, where it was used in baking, frying, and preservation. Nowadays, it's not used anymore, which is a big mistake. But today, I'm going to share with you its long-forgotten uses, so you can add it to your own stockpile.
We no longer know how to live without refrigerators, without cars, without phones, or without supermarkets. What will you do tomorrow if you simply are unable to buy things? I sometimes even think we're kidding ourselves with our bug-out bags and with our 3-day food rations. Wouldn't we be better off looking at what the pioneers took with them when they traveled from Independence, Missouri all the way to Oregon City? Game meat was unreliable even then, so don't think that they made this 5-month journey counting only on that. If your life depended on this, what bug-out bag would you take with you? I know I would stick with what the pioneer had with him. He had to travel weeks on end without much help, while taking cover from some native tribes at the same time. And this is just a small, tiny example. I don't want to see our forefathers' knowledge disappear into the darkness of time. If you care for your family and what America stands for, then neither should you. With this idea in mind, 15 years ago, I wanted to do something that hadn't been done before. Something that not only would help me survive a crisis without investing a fortune in stockpiles, but something that I could do around my house on a daily basis, using only methods that were tested and proven by our forefathers for centuries. I wanted to unearth and learn the forgotten ways of our great-grandparents. So I came up with this great idea to edit all my manuscripts, to turn all this lost knowledge into one of the greatest books of this century, The Lost Ways, Saving Our Forefathers' Skills.
Today I'm going to show you how to make a superfood that'll last a lifetime without refrigeration. And it's so nutritious, you'll never have to stockpile another food. The food's called pemmican, and it was widely in use by the natives of North America and also by the Western explorers who would go for months without contact with civilization. So you'll need 6 pounds of beef, 2 pounds of rendered beef tallow, and 1/3 cup of strawberries or blueberries. Let this dry for about 15 hours or until it's crispy. Toss it in the food processor until it becomes a powder. For our next step, we need to cut the fat into small pieces about 1/2 inch. Mix the shredded meat into the melted fat, and here's what I got. This was just one awesome chapter in The Lost Ways, but you won't believe the survival skills we've lost to history. And that's what this book is all about. Saving our forefathers' skills.
By knowing the ways of our forefathers, believe it or not, you're covered for anything. You'll never have to spend money on any prepping material again. Forget about unreliable and expensive modern survival equipment. Why even bother reinventing the wheel when these things have been working right for centuries? The Lost Ways prepares you to deal with worst-case scenarios with a minimum amount of resources, just like our forefathers lived their lives, totally independent from electricity, cars, and modern technology whatsoever, which means you'll be able to be bulletproof against the ever-increasing threat of electromagnetic pulse, a powerful economic breakdown, famines, and natural disasters. You'll have the power to protect and save your family, even to rebuild your community during the worst of times. And the best part is, you don't need to wait for a disaster to happen. The self-reliance our great-grandparents had will help you save hundreds of dollars every month, starting from day one. At the same time, get to take part in doing something great, saving our forefathers' lost skills. Now, I consider that I've done my part. All you need to do is make sure to hand this knowledge over when it's time to. Take full advantage of it until then. Click on the button below and secure your copy while this presentation is still running. Don't let this knowledge disappear into the darkness of time, because in the next crisis, when death will stare you in the eye, this is the only time-tested life vest that you and your family can hang on to. You'll stay calm and protected, and others will scavenge through the garbage for food. My guess is that you haven't experienced a long-time hunger, but you're probably familiar with the feeling of skipping a couple of meals. Not a very pleasant experience. We're not used to thinking about what to eat or how to procure food for our children. Again, don't take anything for granted because we're living in good times now. Our grandfathers and great-grandfathers were the last generation to practice the basic things that we call survival skills now. Why try to reinvent what they did, and did very well for centuries? There are only a few moments in life we can really do something big. This is one of them. Our grandparents didn't pass these skills on to us in our bloodstream, and neither will you to your children or your nieces and nephews. Take advantage of this presentation while it's still up, and save the lost ways by clicking on the button below. You're the only one that can change something.